Hey everybody, it's Patrick with P-Dubs Crypto World. So today I just kind of wanted to do something a little different here. I know I don't normally play around on the exchanges and go into that. I've been more focused on the profit trailer dilution process that I showed to everybody and took off overwhelmingly. Today I kind of wanted to touch in on something that maybe not as many people pay attention to, and as I've started trading more and more lately, waiting for some things to take an effect. I wanted to focus on the amount of pairs that we trade in because I've spoken with a bunch of people about the varying different amounts of pairs they have. So obviously, you're looking at your Bitcoin. There's countless different options to trade, and this is just on the Binance, your Ethereum, Binance Coin, and USDT. So the amount of trading pairs that you have is going to really dictate how much you can actually trade and make. Now, the more trading pairs you have, the less that you can spend on certain coins. Now, having a lot of trading pairs is a really good thing. When I started out first trading, that was my focus. I'm like 25, 30 trading pairs, and I was doing a small basis. And there's a DCA tool out there I'm not too familiar with because I never really engaged in it too much to find out how many pairs you should be trading with, because the overlying thing is you're going to get into needing to DCA your way out of it. Now, having said that, it all comes down to your market conditions. So just taking a look here, the Bitcoin in the USDT market. I just always use that as to gauge what the value of the Bitcoin is, as opposed to the USDT, which is approximate to the dollar. So when I'm doing that, max pairs is going to be contingent on what kind of trade volume you have, to be honest. A lot of people don't put those things together, but I look at it a little bit statistically different. Maybe that's because I'm not looking at it from everybody else's point of view. But I think there's a lot of different factors that has to control with how many pairs you should be trading with. Your balance is obviously one of them, the amount of your balance that's already tied up, and the amount of times that you're willing to DCA. Those are all factors. So obviously, if you're planning on DCAing 10 times and you're starting out with a purchase price of 1%, you obviously don't want to be doing 20 coins because you're going to be over your head before long. Now, that doesn't always mean that, and sometimes things are going good, but the problem is when you get a really sharp market turn where you're losing 300 bucks on the Bitcoin in the course of an hour, a lot of times that is going to dictate a really sharp decrease in everything else. And the problem is with that, when Bitcoin goes up really quickly or down really quickly, generally the altcoins will not trend as likely. You'll have a lot of red, it's a sea of red, and it never really hits back up to those points. It takes long periods of times and a lot of DCAs to get out of those. So obviously, if you're tied up in DCAs and everything, that's where it happens, where when at the beginning of the year we were at that, coasting down from the almost 20,000 mark, and people were buying in, and people got in high and got stuck with low. And then on top of that, you weren't just stuck in Bitcoin price was low, but all the altcoins lost superior value as well. Now, I was dealing with that just like everybody else, but when we're looking at that in the case of all of these, I want you to take a little notice down here to these kind of things. I got set on the 15 minutes, but I'm sitting there looking at the times, and one thing that I really want to touch on is the amount of pairs that you are trading with. I think really should be a factor of the time that you're trading. Now, profit trailer is meant to be running all the time when you're not there and you're not paying attention. And the problem is, in order to be really proficient with this, you have to have a really good usage of time. So the amount of max pairs that you're using is going to depend on during the weekend or whether you're during the week, what time zone you're in, what market you're in, how much coin you already have, and your negative balances and all that kind of different. Oh, excuse me, kind of gassy today. And all that different kind of thing. So something I wanted to put out there for you just to be a little more aware of is given the time of day that you are trading or that you are actually trading. Like for instance, I'm in the East Coast in Ohio, so when I get out of work at 4:30, generally about the hour before people start getting out of work. So when people are out of work, people are online and people are doing more of their active trading because not everybody's using a trading bot. So during that time, there tends to be more trade volume and activity during that 3 o'clock, 3:30, and I find it to be somewhere to around 6:30. And what that means is that's the heavy point where people are starting to get the availability from school, from work, from the East Coast all the way over to the West Coast. So that's something that I always like to take in and be mindful. And then there's the evening hours. That's around the 8:30 to 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock time frame. A couple hours in there where I see some of the trade volume starts to spike up a little more. Looking here, this is a heavier time frame where you got more volume here, less volume at this particular time. But if you look over here, a little more trade volume around the 9, 10:30. You're looking back over here around noon, some heavy trade volume in here. Now, this all has to do with timing. Now, in the U.S., we've got the timing where, it's really helpful from that, in my case, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, where, people are getting out of work and school and stuff on the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. But other factors that you want to look at are, when I go to bed and it's, 11 o'clock at night, I start seeing trade volume. My coins start processing more if I'm setting in coin positive things. So they'll start processing more. I'll be buying and selling more anyway from that 11 o'clock till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, which, because I don't know specifically what's going on, I just know specifically the amount of time where it starts to look a little better. It kind of leads me to think that that's when the Asian markets are starting to have a peak time for them. Now, this is based on my Eastern Eastern time zone in the U.S., but it's something that you might want to take a look at in your time frame, because I sometimes will set higher pairs at bed before I go to bed, because I know that I'll be trading more, and it's going to depend on what the course of the day was during the uptrend or whatnot. So I like to keep mine between 10 and 20 pairs. 10 pairs when the market is just not doing well and I'm getting bagged up. And then I like to take a look, and I'll change it to 15 pairs when the market's doing all right and I'm just going through. But during the time frames that are heavy traffic, like from that 3 to 6, I will change it up to a max pair of 20, and the same thing in the evening from about 8:30 to about 10:30. I'll change it there, and I seem to get a lot of the trading going on there. Now, for me, just because I'm experimentally playing around with mine, I'm not putting a large amount of my purchase in there. So I'm not, picking up 1%, 2% a day, but I'm seeing the trade volume that is considerable during those times as opposed to the others. And then it allows me to when I trade my pairs back, it allows me to trade my coins down to the point where I'm getting back to my base set of coins. So I may have a set of 5 DCA that are normally in there, and they're just typically going to be those trading pairs that are just there. So until I start getting rid of some of those, I'd show you, but they're processing on the laptop, and I just rebooted them and everything. I don't really run my Profit Trailer on this computer because I'm up in my office for the first time in a while, as you guys can see. So I just kind of wanted to drop that out there. Maybe this is another way that'll help you to keep your the amount of bags down. I know we don't want to be in bags. I introduced the dilution, which helps people to get rid of those bags. But this right here is kind of what I would consider a helpful way to help mitigate the amount of bags that you get in. Because if the market's taking a downturn and you're set with 20 pair trading pairs, and that's where your max trading is, and when you're hoping to go ball to the wall on it, that's your max, and then the market takes that $300 in an hour turn, well, it's going to take you some days to recover from that. So, and that's assuming that you are able to. So now you're in 20 pairs waiting for 2-3 days, and you're not getting any trades, and you're just stuck in there. So take that into consideration. Had you been in a situation where you're in 10 pairs at that point, or you're trading down from your 20 pairs to get to the 10 trading pairs until the market starts to help itself and get back to a, I guess, more friendly. You know, when you're looking at all this green over here, that's easy in USDT, because generally USDT, when it's green, means that a lot of these other ones are going to be red. So higher numbers and a lot of red over here is generally going to mean that people are buying into the cash, or, you know, trying to liquidate out of their altcoins to the Bitcoin, and then the Bitcoin, if it's fluctuating that much, kind of alternating back to the USDT as a price holder until the Bitcoin market starts to kind of catch itself back up. So just be mindful of that. That's really what I wanted to come on here and give you a takeaway today, is just be mindful of the amount of pairs that you have, and understand that it's not just the amount of DCA that you're going to. There are a lot of factors that are going into the consideration of how many max pairs you are using in the market. And just be mindful of that, because it can help you capitalize on really good market trends and help mitigate your losses when the trends are going the opposite way. So, yeah, definitely come check me out in the channel there. Oh, wow. My Discord channel, definitely. Hi, Mini-Me. All right. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.